Hi everyone, welcome to Top Tier Kingdom. I'm Chris King. I just finished filming our TTK intro video, so I'm really excited about that. What I'm going to attempt to do is kind of like film several videos a day, depending on the day, and then publishing according to how I want everything to be laid out and stuff. So this is our first tech rundown. Now, as I mentioned in the TTK intro video, that which you can find will be the first video on this channel. I'm kind of continuing from where I started off with these other two channels that I had, GBD and UET, and I'm just kind of combining them to one kind of channel. So I'm going to just continue on from there. So this is actually tech rundown number 4, but it's the first tech rundown of this channel. So what's a tech rundown? Well, as you'll find out with tech rundown, game rundown, film rundown, it's basically just a rundown of what I consider to be the biggest topics and news for the week. It may not cover every single topic. It will be kind of short and sweet. Depending on the week, but it's kind of just what I have been looking at, what I've been focusing on, and I'm just going to interpret the news with you guys. I'm not breaking the news, although it will be a weekly basis, so you're not really going to be out of date or anything like that. But as I mentioned, we're going to be interpreting the news. I'm going to read just a small statement, and then I'll just kind of give my 2 cents on it. And I highly encourage your feedback, your comments, as long as they're positive. Feel free to put whatever your opinion is, but as long as it's a positive community, that's what I want to build. And so we're going to start that with what I think is a rundown, which to me personally is kind of very cool. It's something that I've been looking for out there on YouTube that I just haven't really found a good version of yet. I found a lot of breaking news channels, but interpreting news for me is it's a very kind of special thing to do. So I'm going to try my best to provide you guys with that, because it's something that I want for myself. So let's just get right into it. Tech rundown number 4. Starting with Google. Now, on this channel, I'm gonna really focus on both, what I should say is actually Alphabet and Apple. Those are kind of, to me, the really big mainstream wireless carriers and kind of tech companies as far as mobile devices go. But also, we're gonna get into kind of nitty-grittier companies such as my personal, what I use, Samsung, Sony, Microsoft, all this kind of stuff. But obviously there'll be a lot of news from Alphabet, Apple, Samsung, whatever, just all that kind of stuff. So let's get right into it. Topic number 1, Fuchsia. Google put up code for a new OS named Fuchsia using the Magenta kernel, which is versus their current Android and Chrome OS based on Linux kernel. Kernel is basically just like a very kind of small version of it's kind of like the seed of what an entire operating system is using and is implemented on. So Fuchsia states it will be used to target modern phones and computers with fast processors. It seems this may correlate to rumors that Google wants to unite Android and Chrome under one OS. Sorry, that's actually my input right there. Notes for myself. But so let's break it down. This is something that kind of leaked. Some coders, I guess, were digging through code, and they found coding on some website referring to a new operating system called Fuchsia, Google Fuchsia, right? And so, as I mentioned, this is kind of versus what they're currently using is Android for mobile devices and Chrome OS for their laptops, mainly their Chromebooks, and their Google tablets and Google their phones, of course, the Nexus, obviously run on Android. And obviously, we know about 70% of the mobile devices out there in the world, I guess, basically are running Android, not actually running Apple, contrary to what most people may believe. And that's because HTC, Samsung, Sony, Microsoft, the list goes on and on, they use Android. So what this says to me, because if you read in the next statement, Fuchsia states it will be used to target modern phones and computers with fast processors. Well, if you break that down, modern phones, well, Android is running modern phones, right? Computers with fast processors. Fast processors is, something that's been around for a long time, but when you really think about what people are currently caring about as far as clock speed, that's something very modern, right? So what it seems to, show me is that Fuchsia could very well be this operating system that's going to unite the two, Android and Chrome, which I believe which is basically obviously influenced very heavily by Windows, the Windows platform, because Windows runs on Microsoft's mobile and desktop, hardware, basically on other computers. Windows runs on both, and I think that, to me personally, it would definitely be preferable. You know, you get pros and cons from doing something like this. You know, pros, everything is more seamless, everything is more connected. If you've seen any of the Microsoft demonstrations, you know that your phone can just, with USB or even wirelessly, connect right to your phone, and even mirror screens if you're using like the Microsoft dock or whatever, I think it's called the Surface dock. To me, that's awesome. That to me is forward thinking, it's future thinking. Being able to go from the office to home and be able to just connect your phone and just kind of display it there. Why, you know, when you're at home, why you need your phone in the palm of your hands, right? My phone over here is, you know, charging, right? Because that's when I'm home, I'm kind of done for the day. You know, as far as my phone goes, I don't really want to keep it in my hand. I'm gonna just put it there charging, and I wish whatever I'm using, my laptop or my TV, at this point, we're that far in the future where my phone should just be displaying on both, you know, whenever. And we're not kind of there yet, but we're barely kind of dipping our toes in there. So I think Fuchsia is gonna allow other companies to do this quicker, right? Have your phone in your pocket, and once you get home, put it to charge, or, you know, connect it to your laptop, and it was just boom. It's gonna be right there. Everything's gonna be connected. Your files, whatever. I use, different hardware and software that kind of try to, you know, push towards that. So, you know, it's just kind of what it is. I think it's the future. So I think it's a good idea. You know, cons, of course, you probably it may be lacking in some security in some sense, because it's one OS versus two. You know, you're gonna have to be very careful about, you know, what you're uploading, what you're downloading, stuff like that. You know, to me, more seems like a safety concern. But, you know, if people just kind of mind their own business, we wouldn't really have to worry about that. You know, so just take care with your stuff. Take care with what it is that you're doing on your phone or your laptop. You know, just be careful. Careful what you're downloading. Careful what you're uploading. So, you know, I think you know, we'll see, and I don't expect this to really be out there until next year. For all intents and purposes, what I'm hearing, their phone that will be shown in October, Pixel, is probably going to be running Android. So this is something that I expect to be out probably, or at least talked about next year in 2017. Moving on, topic number 2, the iPhone 7. Now, Apple had confirmed the event for September 7th, and as you know, it's actually currently September 20th. That's kind of long in past. We know the iPhone 7 is, you know, basically here, the iPhone 7 Plus. No headphone jack, you know, flush home button, dual lens camera. What does it really say about the iPhone 7? Me personally, I love Apple. I love what, you know, Steve Jobs brought to the table as far as technology goes, and I love the invention of the iPhone. I think it's, you know, I think it's kind of the most important smartphone that, you know, basically it started that category of smartphones, right? But what can you say about Apple in the last few years? Is they're iterative at this point, you know? It just looks kind of more round. That's kind of it. What else can I say about it? The no headphone jack, I think it's actually a good idea. People are freaking out, but I'm a paperless kind of guy. I'm a wireless kind of guy. I hate wires, you know. I use a lot of them, but I really wish at this point, you know, I know, like for instance, HDMI, there's some products that allow you to do HDMI wirelessly. Well, that needs to happen, okay? In the next 3 years, I don't want any more wires. I just want everything wireless, everything. I know that, you know, connected is better for no lag, that kind of stuff, but we're at the point where it's like, it's kind of like, we're lagging at like maybe like a few seconds at any point. And for, you know, the top industry, if you're working with millions of dollars worth of technology, then sure, you want the least amount of lag as possible. But for mass consumers, and actually also for people like me who are fanatics of, like, you know, tech savvy kind of guys, I just want everything to be very simple, very clean, which is something that Apple used to stand for. But now it kind of just seems like I'm not sure where they're going. You know, the iPhone 7, it's kind of a joke. There's nothing innovative about this piece of hardware, to be perfectly honest. Just absolutely nothing innovative about it. And believe me, there's a lot of other phones there that are still not half as innovative as what Apple's doing. But at this point, I'm just not really sure what to say. I would definitely would not recommend it. I would recommend, I just told a friend of mine the other day, she asked me, you know, what are my thoughts of the iPhone 7? Should you upgrade? I said no, just wait for the 10th anniversary next year. At least that, they're probably gonna have at least one thing that will probably be innovative. My money is on the no home button at all, maybe no buttons. and just have the home button truly part of the screen, because what most people want is more screen, less phone, you know. So not necessarily a bigger iPhone 7 Pluses or whatever, but just get rid of all the bezel, you know. At this point I just kind of want the entire front to be all screen, you know, and if they do that, it would definitely rock the entire industry again, and everyone will be back to the drawing boards as far as design goes. So I think that would be, you know, their best bet, you know. Specs, their iPhone's already a very solid piece of hardware as far as the specs go, so nothing really much to say there. Moving on, now we're moving on to Samsung, what I consider to be Apple's kind of biggest rival as far as mobile devices go. At the Samsung event this month, we saw the Gear S3. Now, quick thoughts about it, because I kind of have deeper thoughts about this kind of stuff a little bit later on as we get closer to release for these products. The Gear S3, just kind of a bigger, that's kind of really it. It's like a bigger model of like the Gear S2 basically. People were kind of freaking out about it. I think it looks really nice, and I don't think I'm gonna actually get it, although I do have a Gear. I'm gonna wait till probably the 2017 model and see what that brings. My only reason I wanted to bring it up is because I kind of wish they kind of figure out a better release schedule for it, as well as I want the SKUs to be really laid out, because from what I've seen, I don't know if they have a kind of higher end model that's like kind of like what they had last year with like the platinum and rose gold one. I kind of want to know, like, are those coming? Are those going to be now? Because I don't want to get it and then wait 5 months and then they're going to upgrade again. So it's just like Samsung has to get their SKUs in order. So moving on, topic number 4, the Note 7. Now, what I really want to talk about the Note 7 is kind of all this trouble that Samsung has been having this last week with multiple reports of batteries exploding, causing fires, injuries, damage. Samsung, they believe they just found the production error within the battery cells, which is causing overheating. And you know, as you know, they have recalled all the Note 7, and I just read earlier today, actually, that I believe they're gonna be back in stock starting October, something like that. They've already shipped out 500 units that are going to be replacements for everyone else who already has the phone. Not a good situation, which sucks because I personally believe it is the best mobile device cell phone that's out there on the market today. If I had to pound for pound, feature for feature, you know, you look at the S Pen, which I didn't really use, the Edge, which I still don't really use, but pound for pound, feature for feature, it's the best bang for your buck. It is an absolutely gorgeous phone. It's massive. I absolutely love it. But this is like such an error on their part, and I'm so glad I didn't get this phone. I would have been furious, man. Even if my phone didn't blow up, just the fact that like it could, oh man, I would have been so furious. So I can't imagine what they're going through right now. I heard that they just sold stock in some of the other smaller companies that they're invested in just to kind of make up for the loss of cash that they're going to be facing with the Note 7. So it's a bad situation. Reports are saying that it's because of accelerated production cycle that they went through. I don't really know if that's true or not, because they're still kind of aiming on the like 13-12 month period for the Notes. But I don't know, it's such a bad situation. Like, you guys got to do Q&A correctly. You guys have to do testing. You have to put these phones out there in the wild, maybe at least like a month in advance, 30 days of usage, something like that, to just really get a feel for like what are the bugs here, what is going on. And if you just do constant, like every day, just running tests and diagnostics, at some point, like, you guys should have anticipated this or something. But you know, they're gonna pay for it at the end, and it really sucks because the Note 7 was like, when it came out, everyone was raving about it. All the critics were raving about it. This is like the iPhone killer, basically, you know. But now it's just I don't know. You gotta be careful. What can I say? Moving on, let's go back to Apple for a second with topic number 5, Tidal. Apple has no plans to acquire Tidal, according to this article from CNET. Apple is denying plans to buy rival music streaming service Tidal. We're really running our own race, Apple Music boss Jimmy Iovine told BuzzFeed in a story published Wednesday. He also goes on to say, we're not looking to acquire any streaming services. Okay, this is an article as of September 15th, so 5 days ago. Now, I've used Tidal. I have not used Apple Music. But I actually started with streaming very early on, before the big, this kind of really big, just kind of pop that occurred about a year and a half ago, something like that, 2 years ago. I actually started with, besides Pandora, which back in the day was, was just really just a kind of radio, but it was mainly with Sony's Music Unlimited. Okay, so that's kind of old school for like internet years, But I started with Sony Music Unlimited mainly because when I knew the PS4 was coming, I knew that Sony Music Unlimited was going to be heavily featured with the console, and sure enough, you could play the music in the background and stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm going to jump into this now, build my library up now, because I had to move everything from iTunes actually. I love streaming. Streaming is hands down the future as far as like music goes, and it's kind of already headed there. There's a lot of difficulty as far as payment is going for the artists, whatever. But so let's talk about Tidal. Okay, I subscribed to Tidal, and mainly it was for The Life of Pablo before the album came out, and I knew that it was going to be an exclusive to Tidal. I had purchased, it was like a, I don't know, it was like a 3-month something, and I just kind of wanted to get used to it, see kind of like what's up. It's not really a good streaming service. If I had to recommend one personally, it would be, if you're an iPhone user, Apple Music. If you're an Android user, Google Play Music or Spotify. So it kind of depends on what you're using, but as far as like, for me it's those three, really. Everyone else doesn't have really a chance. But I am reporting on this because I don't know if I got to report it back in UET's channel, but Samsung was in talks for a good while to acquire Tidal. And somewhere down the line, Samsung seemed to have denied those rumors, but I wish Samsung would acquire Tidal. They've worked with Jay-Z in the past. I believe Magna Carta Holy Grail was exclusive with Samsung phones. I remember I had a Samsung phone at the time, so I got to stream the music, the album for free, something like that. I remember it came out like around July 4th, so like 2-3 years ago, whatever, 4 years ago. I can't remember the last album came out. But man, I really wish Samsung would just go talk to them now, because now that they've lost this kind of, and that they've met with Apple. Okay, what, I don't care what Jimmy Iovine says, whatever. There is like fact. You guys were talking to Tidal about an acquisition. I don't know why they would. I kind of would just rather them just kind of squeeze Tidal out, just from their marketing power, just from their sales power, from their support from Beats, that when they purchase Beats, there's not really a need to acquire Tidal at all, except for some exclusives. But if they want exclusives that badly, they could just pay for them anyway. But I do think that this would really allow Samsung to get back into the race as far as music goes, because they had shut down their other music apps that they had. But streaming is the future, and no one else can take on Apple like a company like Samsung could. Just because think about what they could use, that streaming with, like a Samsung TV, for instance, a Samsung laptop, Samsung phone. It will probably be built into the gear at some point. Man, I just wish they would, and just totally scrap all of it and just kind of rename it, I don't know, Samsung Music. Why not? I would pay for it in a heartbeat. So there's that. But I'll keep an eye on it for sure, because one or two things is going to happen: either Tidal gets acquired or a Tidal shuts down. So, and then their assets will be sold. So who knows what's going to happen? Not for much, by the way. The last story of the day is actually YouTube. YouTube, topic number 6, has begun testing a feature they call YouTube Community, in order to allow creators to interact with their audiences so they don't leave to Snapchat or Facebook. YouTube Community is now in beta as of September 2016. I believe it was about 2 days ago, Tuesday or something like that. Last Tuesday. And it seems to be under one of the YouTube channel tabs. And then when you click on it, the page shows a sort of, from what I've seen, an Instagram-like feed that users can scroll up and down to see written posts, images, and even live video when audiences will receive these notifications on their phones. And so my notes are, will this be able to face off against Facebook, Snapchat, or Twitter? And there's Google Plus, so I'll have a chance for integration. So let's break this down. So it's kind of a long statement. This feature, YouTube Community, is actually in beta, and it's only in beta for like 11 creators, and they're like the kind of top dogs, and not like PewDiePie, but it's like I don't know, I think someone from SourceFed, I don't know, maybe one of the Reacts brothers are there or something like that, but it's kind of like these other, like Tyler Oakley, kind of like these kind of more personality driven YouTube channel. I think Lily Singh, I Superwoman, or I forget, I don't know what her name is, but I think these creators were targeted first because, like I said, these are the more social kind of YouTube creators, unlike someone like, PewDiePie, who is very social, but his channel is very focused and honed in on, gaming. But these other people are more like vlogging and travel videos and, like fashion and meetups, those kind of YouTube creators. It's a very smart idea on their part. And these are the guys who obviously probably have the biggest following on apps like Instagram, Facebook, or Snapchat. To be perfectly honest, I don't really use social media. I don't believe really any of these social media is particularly useful for what I want to accomplish. That being said, you kind of miss out a lot of what is kind of going on with, your friends or, what have you, I guess your creators, whatever. But so, I mean, going into that, the YouTube beta going on right now, the Instagram feed that I saw, it's really clean. The only thing is how they're gonna use that much real estate when you're using a laptop, I'm not sure yet. But from what I saw as far as using a phone, it is really clean. It looks like Instagram, as I said. Putting written posts, I guess they're trying to compete with Twitter. I'm assuming they're gonna be short kind of posts. Images, like I said, to kind of compete with Instagram, and live video, obviously to kind of compete with someone like Facebook, who just kind of delved into live video. Twitter has some live video as well. As I said, I don't use social media. We do have a Twitter. Would I abandon Twitter to go to strictly YouTube? I don't really know. I do know that I don't really care as much about the images because I can tweet images and this thing will have images, so that's okay. Live video, that makes sense to me because YouTube is the king of video. And in the written post, these little tweets, it makes sense, but the problem is that Twitter already has a massive foundation when it comes to that, because you're gonna have companies like I'm at a loss for words now. Let's say Sony, okay? Sony is on Twitter. Kanye is on Twitter, random people like that, like Woodkid or Childish Gambino, just a lot of celebrities. Actors, Will Smith, is probably on Twitter. I don't think he is, but whatever. These guys are not all gonna jump onto YouTube. So you kind of lose that aspect of it. The whole point, right, of Twitter, for me at least, is a news kind of app. So I don't know if it can necessarily defeat someone like Twitter, but that's okay. That's okay. I do think that it can definitely compete with stuff like Instagram, Snapchat, and I don't know about Facebook. Facebook, to me, it's kind of already kind of dead, if I'm being perfectly honest. So maybe, who knows? And as far as Google Plus, still having a chance for integration, I think if they totally revamped it, it could be awesome. If you make it this kind of business and social hybrid, so think Facebook with a YouTube kind of thing and more business aspects of it, how Facebook had those business pages. If you can find a way to merge those two concepts, I think Google Plus could definitely be really cool. Obviously not going to be called Google Plus, you're going to have to call it something else. Something just very like Facebook, something very simple that people can get their minds around, that will link to your written posts and your live videos and your long form videos from YouTube. So it's a good way to kind of merge all this kind of stuff, and obviously that's kind of what they're going for, this YouTube community. Abandon your other social networks, just come here and stay here, So that's what we're going to see is going to happen. So 6 topics, I kind of went long on these topics, just kind of flesh them out more, but typically these kind of things just kind of go a bit quicker depending on how many topics we have. I like to definitely keep these kind of videos underneath an hour for sure. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Any of the topics below, please feel free to comment on any of them. I want to get your 2 cents. Are you interested in Fuchsia? Are you interested in the Gear S3, Note 7, iPhone 7? What phone are you using right now? What music streaming service are you using right now? And especially for YouTube, this is really relevant to me as well. What do you guys think of YouTube community? Is it something that you're interested in using? Or do you think it's gonna actually work or probably not fail? And if so, why? So again, thank you for watching this video. please subscribe down below. That way you guys will be notified every time that I post up a video. And as always, just make sure to share and just like